about right.
Yeah, that does. The reason that gold was there is because back in the late 1700s and early 1800s, we had a lot of pirates that used this area. And at the mouth of this river is Lake Borgne, and they would keep all of their large ships in Lake Borgne, and they would attack the Spanish ships that were coming from Spain, going to Mexico and South America. And at that time, the United States didn't get along with Spain, so they didn't give these pirates much of a hard time about being a pirate. In fact, the populace loved them because they would, all the stuff that they stole, they would bring it up the river and they would hide it here in the swamp. And you can see it's a pretty good place to hide around here. Especially back then, they didn't have any motors. You know, they were all rowing up this river. So you could probably be up there for years before they knew you were there. And then when they were ready to sell the stuff, at that time they had a bayou that went from this river directly into the heart of the French Quarter in New Orleans. So they would take all that loot and they would go in and steal and sell it. And all the people loved it back then because they could get all the things that they couldn't get. Now, I mean, New Orleans was a one-horse town back then, you know, 25 blocks by 25 blocks. So these people could get all this worldly stuff that otherwise they couldn't find in New Orleans. One pretty famous pirate used this area. Y'all probably studied about him in school. His name was John Lafitte. He was a Frenchman that came here in 1790, and he was a pretty well-to-do pirate. He had 20 ships and about 4,000 pirates that worked for him. They say in today's money, he'd probably be worth about $1 million. He also helped Andrew Jackson defeat the British in the War of 1812. He brought 1,500 of these pirates to that fight and about 3,000 pounds of black powder. And they said without his help, we probably would have lost that fight, and we'd still be under British rule here today. That whole battle, and I know y'all studied about the Louisiana Purchase. That's where the United States bought half of the country from France. Well, back then, the English didn't believe that France had title to this area. So they were coming here to take it. And if they would have won that battle, the United States would not have had any Western expansion. It would have just been all English. They were so excited about him helping with that battle, they gave him a ball about 3 weeks after that fight. And it so happened, one of the ladies in his entourage showed up at that party wearing the governor's dead daughter's dress. She got killed on one of the ships going from New Orleans to Europe. One of his subordinates had attacked that ship and burned that ship. So that kind of immediately cut him off. I mean, they appreciated everything he's done. They thanked him, you know, oh man, we couldn't have done it without you. But if you do not leave Louisiana, we're going to hang you. And they did leave Louisiana. They didn't go far. They went to Waveland, Mississippi, which is maybe 15 miles as the crow flies from where we are right now. And they continued to pirate until we had a treaty with Spain. And that's when the Navy came to him and said, gotta stop. You know, can't do this anymore. We're friends with him now. Well, guess what? He was a pirate. He didn't listen to the Navy. That's how he made his fortune. So they continued to pirate, and they wound up burning him out in Waveland. And then they went to Galveston, and they set up shop in Galveston. And well, the Navy followed them right over to Galveston. Did the same thing. And the guy got out and kind of got loose, and he went to Venezuela. He became an admiral in the Venezuelan Navy. That's a little history about this area back here. Oh, and where he went to Waveland, they made that a state park. I don't know if y'all ever heard Buccaneer State Park, and it's real close. So if y'all get a chance, it's a nice little ride to go see the ruins and stuff that's over there. As we're going downriver, you're going to notice, like behind me, is a camp. There's several of them on the river. People have built them to recreate out here. They hunt, they fish, they tube, they swim, they crawfish. They do about anything you can think of on this river to have a good time. Some of them are really nice. Some of them are really nice. You can think to yourself, how do you put them out? But they use them all. You won't see any automobiles next to you. There's no road to it. It all had to be built, and somebody putting the materials in a boat, bringing it up the river, and building their camp. They all have electricity, and most of them pump their water out of the river. It's non-potable water. They use it for all their other needs, and they'll bring their water to cook and drink. 99% of the property that you're going to see on the right-hand side is privately owned. Just the opposite on the left-hand side. They'll have about a half a mile stretch of the camp, but that property is only about 100 feet deep. The rest of that property on the left-hand side was bought by the state of Louisiana in 1973. It's about 250,000 square miles. It goes from the Gulf of Mexico almost all the way to Picayune, Mississippi. And it's about 8 or 9 miles wide. They turned it into the Pearl River management area so we can hunt and fish and just use it recreationally. You have quiet in it? This is so far away from civilization. We're about 5 minutes from Starbucks. Straight down. That's supposed to go back. And as I was telling y'all earlier, this is a rain problem. All these camps flood. When this river comes up, and like I say, it can come up 6 feet overnight. It all depends on how much water goes into the Mississippi. These people they'll just sweep them out, kick the snakes out, and put their heads on pillow at night. They're used to all that. It's really tough coming down here doing crawfish season. Everybody's boiling crawfish. You smell it the whole way up and all the way back. You gotta sit down. But look at that camp that they're sitting in front of. How many boatloads do you think it took to create something like that? And this is probably the largest boat that you can see on this river. You can imagine. It took them quite a while to do that. When Hurricane Katrina hit, we had 26 feet of water on top of what we have right now. So all these camps either got severely damaged or they got destroyed. You'll see a couple of them on the left-hand side that there's only the roofs left. Now, they wasn't destroyed in Katrina, but the people are still paying their taxes on them and holding on to their property because there isn't any more property to buy here. If you don't buy something from a landowner, you're not going to get anything. Area on the left-hand side, you'll see with that log jam, that's called Friday Ditch. And that's running all the way through the swamp, goes to the east side of the swamp, and it goes into the East Pearl River. And that's a river that was about 60 miles long, and it is the state line between Mississippi and Louisiana. Oh, look over here on the left side, you see that bird? That's the greatest blue parrot. That is the largest shorebird that we have out here. They can get to where his wingspan is about 9 feet wide. Oh, right there in front of him.
That must look like one of those logs.
It kind of does.
Yeah.
That bird's molting right now. That's why you got this off color.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Get back down.
There is one family that lives here permanently. And they've got 3 kids that they got to get up every morning, get in a boat, run down the road and catch the school bus.
Oh my goodness, I hope the kids can swim.
Can you imagine that?
No, I cannot.
And when it's raining and it's cold and you got all these kids saying, I'm not going to school today.
I can barely stand a 2-hour one with these two.
You'll see these trees that they have tied up on the side. Those are cypress trees that fell in the river years ago. And once those trees sink to the bottom of the river, and then after a couple of years, that wood turns very red, dark red, almost black. And it makes beautiful furniture. These guys, they go find these trees and they bring them back and hang on to them so they can sell them. Some of these trees have a market value of over $10,000 a tree.
Oh my goodness.
So they're hoarding.
Yeah, it was kind of a little bit off the walk through, yes.
Yeah, we own a boat.
Sure.
Oh, look at that. Look at that box.